two, three.
Let's go. I love to see the temple. I'm going there someday to feel the Holy Spirit, to listen and to pray.
It is time for another episode of the Cultural Hall. As the music would tell you, it is a temple ticker with the Pharaoh himself. Now, I send the love from St. George, Utah, Pharaoh, from Keb, who says, I love how much Corey, the Pharaoh, loves the things that he talks about with the temple ticker, right? He said, I love the detail that he goes into, and I love how he genuinely loves it. And then he asked me, is this how he makes his living? Is that how he knows all of these things? And I said, oh, no, not at all. So he also asked, and I couldn't remember, why do we call you the Pharaoh?
You asked me for a nickname. And so the only thing that came to my mind is something that my mom called me when I was 3.
And why did she call you the Pharaoh when you were 3?
Because I was demanding, like any 3-year-old, but I was her first child, so that's why I guess. Or maybe it was my dad. I can't remember.
I love that. I'd forgotten that part of it. So the demanding Pharaoh, and I love the mom. My mom would used to when I was a teenager. If we went by that, my nickname here in the Cultural Hall would be Worthless, and that's not a joke. When I was a teenager, you don't do anything. You're worthless. All right, it's old Worthless Stedman. We talk about all the things with the Temple of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and sometimes it blends into meeting houses and. Sometimes it's area and districts and all of the things. So where do we go first in this temple ticker?
Yeah, let's start with the temple dedication announcement. So it was announced that the Syracuse, Utah temple will be dedicated this year. They'll have an open house May 10th through the 31st. That'll be dedicated on June 8th. And like they have in the past, they left it blank who will be the dedicator.
We don't know,
so, a mystery, yeah.
Now, are you, I speculated when we did that with others that it would be President Nelson. Syracuse, technically close enough that President Nelson could take the old entourage up to Syracuse. Do you think that's why it's left blank?
Yeah, that's a possibility. I think also maybe President Holland. He hasn't dedicated a lot. Actually, he's never dedicated a temple. He's only rededicated temples. He's rededicated Memphis, St. George, and he'll do Toronto. So that will be later. So maybe not Holland because Toronto's kind of pretty close. He could do both of them. I don't know. So
he's never dedicated his own temple. He's always like, I'm here to do the work that someone else has already done. Let's redo this.
The rededication, yeah.
Never, ever?
No. So
well, I think it's high time.
Okay. Yeah. The other option is Elder Stevenson. Last year, he was scheduled to dedicate the Mendoza Argentine temple, and then last minute he wasn't available.
Okay.
So we never found out that mystery of why he missed his BYU speech either that same week. So he's still been in the dark about that. So maybe because Elder Stevenson has only dedicated 3 temples, that's less than almost all the other apostles.
Except for Elder Holland, who's never dedicated.
Except for Elder Holland. He's only rededicated. Yeah.
Listen.
Only been a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Yeah, let's put it out there. Come on, Elder Holland. He deserves to have one. You know why they're doing it in May, right?
Good Utah weather?
Well, good Utah weather, but it's before the mosquitoes of Syracuse come out. You get into June and July in Syracuse, and people will be carried away by mosquitoes. That's how bad they are. That's not a joke. They will, I think, nightly spray for mosquitoes in the town of Syracuse. So they've got to do it before all the eggs hatch.
Cool. Yeah, this will be the first temple that has 2 baptismal fonts to be dedicated. So I guess a first.
And this takes the, what, is it the Layton? It takes a part of the Layton Temple and probably part of the Ogden Temple District and says...
Mostly Ogden.
Okay.
Most of the Layton one took Bountiful. And then I think they kind of drew the lines so that they can just put all the other Ogden stakes into Syracuse when it's dedicated. So it'll probably be about the same, maybe 20 stakes assigned to this temple.
And this will be the 24th in a total of 31 that are announced or functioning in Utah.
Yeah, all the church headlines, they made the mistake of putting 31st temple in Utah, which is not the case because there's plenty of other temples under construction. So it will only be, there's 31 total, but I think it'll be number, I believe, 24. I have to count that again to make sure.
You
But
don't know that?
that's what I saw a commenter on the Culture Hall say.
Come on, Elder
So
Holland.
I'll trust him. But
Now,
yeah,
I want to ask you because this is a great place to be able to do this. We'll do a predicting episode before this spring general conference. I would love for you to look into this. I'm thinking a Western St. George area temple, Ivans, Bloomington, somewhere along that side, so that they don't have to go across the sweeping valley of St. George with all the growth that's out there. I've got to think that the church is going to do one out that way. Maybe that's not this conference, but I would love it if you would look into the amount of stakes that are there on the west side of St. George.
yeah, I've considered that too. Um, I guess I'm not in favor right now, or not in favor of predicting that right now, just
Okay.
because basically right now the St. George and the Red Cliffs Temple have about equal number of stakes, 18.
Okay.
So and the St. George Temple is a fairly big temple. So that an Ivan's area temple would take off like half those, which would only leave like nine for St.
Mm,
George, which I
okay.
think is a little lopsided. But I mean, it's not out of the question,
Well,
certainly.
and with the amount of growth, give it a few years, maybe you're saying, and the stakes will catch up. Okay. Okay. I
We'll
appreciate
see.
that. But I want you to maybe dive in a little bit more because I'm calling it for this spring general conference. It's Spanish Fork Temple time.
You think so?
Yep. Yep.
Is it just like the one with Price? You knew
Yeah,
it was going
because
to
I
be that
just felt
conference?
it. I just felt it.
Do you know where it is going to be?
No, no, come on. Who am I? You? What am
Okay.
I? The Pharaoh? I don't get a
I still
point
have
in
a
space.
prediction. There is a big church-owned land. There's like two church buildings on it, and then a huge plot of farmland in the middle. It's right across the street from Maple Mountain High School. So right in between Mapleton and Spanish Fork.
And
That's
then I'm ignorant about this, but I would love to know, is there an Evanston temple?
no.
Okay, then
Southwest Wyoming does not have a temple yet.
yeah. Somewhere up there because guess what? That pass is crazy in the winter time. So they've got to have something closer so they don't have to come up or go down.
Yeah.
So,
I've seen people on the internet predict that for a long time, and it hasn't come to fruition.
well,
So
let's make it happen.
maybe,
Come
yeah,
on. Come on,
it's either
Pharaoh.
Evanston or like all the way over to like Lyman or Bridger Valley area.
Or
Maybe even
Rollins.
Rock Springs. I don't
Come
know.
on, Rollins. They have the best biscuits and gravy at this crappy hotel I stayed at one time. The hotel
There
was
you
the
go.
worst. The gravy, so delicious. Which takes us, of course, speaking of gravy, the groundbreaking, the gravy of the temple ceremony. I got nothing. I was trying to segue it.
Yeah. I don't have a segue either. The Tacloban, Philippines temple. They had a groundbreaking on January 18th. Elder Micheal B Strong was there. And I didn't see anything too notable about it. They just reminisced about the first missionaries that came to the area in 1968, where just one guy was baptized, and then now there are five stakes, six districts,
Jeez.
and 35,000 members.
Yes.
So this is in the area called the Eastern Visayas. Um, it's kind of a group of two islands, pretty close to each other, just connected by a bridge. Um, but yeah, that'll be the eighth temple in the Philippines, and then there's a total of like something like 13 announced. So yeah,
Are we thinking next Apostle Filipino?
possibly, yeah. There's that
Yeah.
Elder Tay guy who's pretty young. I think
Yeah.
he's been in the 70 for a long time.
Yeah.
He's a good contender.
Yeah, I would say so. I
Yeah.
sort of look at that as we look at the church growth and go, yep, we're going to have to start to have. Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it. We've got plenty of Hinkley's and McConkeys and all this stuff, but I also think that we're going to, as we look to be a worldwide church, we're going to have to be able to be like, look, that's Filipino, that's, someone from the continent of Africa, all of these things. Anyway, okay, well then take me then to groundbreaking in Birmingham, England.
Yeah, they announced this one for March 22nd. Elder Scott D. Whiting will be the presiding authority. He's over the Europe North area. What's interesting is this is the first temple that has been announced by President Nelson in Europe to start construction. So he's announced his whole 11 temples in Europe, and this is the first one to begin, I guess.
And that dates back a couple of years, right? So that's a backlog.
Yeah, I think Europe has been pretty slow to start temple construction. The last one I have start construction was 2015 in Portugal, Lisbon, which is the President Monson era temple. Um, so
Is it just
yeah,
permitting? Is it because we have to take down everything in Europe is old, so we have to take down old things and put in new things? Like why the delay? Because I mean that's a long time to almost 10 years.
Yeah, and most of the sites that the church has been choosing in Europe have been locations where there's open land,
Hmm.
usually in a suburban part of the city. So, yeah, I guess just things take longer there.
Okay. Okay. Uh, and Madagascar?
Yeah, this groundbreaking has also been announced. Elder Denelson Silva will be there to do the groundbreaking. He's a Portuguese apostle that has served time in the Africa area.
The way you said that
Um,
make it sound like he'd served in prison. He served
no, I
time.
think he was a mission president in Angola, which is a Portuguese speaking country,
Oh,
and now I
cool.
think he's in the area presidency of the area. Um, yeah, this I originally thought they would maybe there's a stake center there in Antananarivo. I think there's now two or three stakes in that city.
Hmm.
And so at first I thought they would tear down this beautiful stake center that's located right next to the American embassy. But I saw this picture of Elder Christofferson back in May visiting the site, and it's kind of like a field probably behind the stake center. So I'm assuming that's where the temple will go.
Hmm.
And then they also released the rendering of what it will look like. And it is, as I say, igualito. It is really similar to the Kiribati and the Vanuatu temples, which are both being built by modular means. So it makes me wonder
Ooh.
if this temple will be a modular temple.
And they don't make any sort of announcement about that. Ladies and gentlemen, it will be modular. We sort of find it out and then you tell us about it.
Find it out when we see the pictures and we see them putting together the modules on the foundation. So
And they're reading the instructions. I'm glad it's not like an IKEA instruction thing where they're like, "All right, where's my Flinsenflaug? Where do I take my Schlinkflauging and put it into the, bunch of
nice.
guys out there."
Yeah.
So let me ask you then, site announcements.
Yeah. This temple was announced somewhat recently. The Huntsville, Alabama temple. They have a site for it. It'll be on the southeast corner of Gillespie Road and Bonners Ferry Road.
Oh, that's a good place.
In this, yeah. You've been there?
I'm a huge fan of the
Yeah.
corner of Gillespie and Browns Ferry.
In Huntsville, right?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
No, actually it's in
Alabama.
Madison. It's in Madison, Alabama.
What the? It's the Huntsville Temple. Come
I
on.
know. It's kind of the twin city of Huntsville.
Uh-huh.
Um, so those naming, we'll talk about this more. But I guess some people were originally kind of, oh, it's going to cause a lot of traffic. It's a busy intersection.
Uh-huh.
As you can see, there's a stop sign at the
Yep.
intersection. It's not a busy intersection. But the the city of Madison told Fox 54 News that don't worry, it won't disrupt traffic. We already have plans for this area. And they were kind of like, yeah, we've already been doing improvements, so this project coming in will be accommodated by that. I don't think they realize it's not like most of the churches that you find in Alabama where they have a big Sunday meeting.
Mm.
And a lot of people come. I think they'll be surprised that, oh, this is actually not a lot of people are going to be coming to the temple all at once, except for maybe a few periods during the open house and dedication. But other than that, like it's going to be a pretty quiet place. So
Yeah.
don't worry if you're worried about traffic in this area. A temple will probably be the best solution for you.
Yeah, all you non-members in Alabama that listen to the Temple Ticker, don't worry. It's not going to be a lot of traffic except for the groundbreaking or the open house. Okay.
Huh.
Uh,
And I was very shocked that it will be a temple of 30,000 square feet,
hmm.
which I had predicted it would be like a 10,000 square foot, maybe modular temple, because in the past, some of the modulars were constructed in Alabama. So I thought, oh, that's convenient that they're close by. But I've since heard that maybe that company that was building them in Alabama maybe is not anymore.
Ooh.
So, or maybe they're going to do I've heard that maybe temples that are larger than 10,000 square feet might become modular soon. I saw a
Okay.
rumor about maybe Grand Rapids. The foundation kind of looks like they're preparing for modulars. Don't quote me on that yet. We'll see what
Okay.
happens.
Okay.
But that's a larger temple than the traditional modular ones. So maybe this one's going to be like the 30,000 square foot test for modulars. I don't know.
Interesting. So we've expanded our Lego model set. I remember when I was a kid, I got the little ones that comes in like the boxes, like an expanded crayon box. And then I remember the first Lego set it wasn't a Millennium Falcon, it was something else, but I was like, this will take hours. And it was much bigger. Good. I'm glad to hear that we're expanding our temple Lego sets.
And also connected to the Grand Rapids Temple, something that I heard was that, remember we talked about how they redesigned how the spire on the temple would look.
Yeah.
They moved it kind of towards the front. And it did kind of look a little bit shorter than the original design.
Yes.
I have since learned that the city did ask them to lower the design of the steeple, and the church didn't even protest. They just, okay, yeah, we'll do it lower.
Huh.
And the media never even reported it. The church just went ahead, redesigned the temple, and that's what they got.
Boy, that's not the case in other places. I wonder what the difference is, and I'm sure we'll get to that coming up.
Yeah.
Let's go to Florianópolis, Brazil, but not actually in Florianópolis.
Again, yeah. I was hesitant to predict this temple because I thought, is it going to be built in Florianópolis or is it going to be built in São José? And they announced it, and I was okay, Florianópolis. That's it's the larger city. However, it's kind of like there's the beach and then there's an island, and then the city of Florianópolis is on the island. It's only connected by 2 bridges. I'm sure it's a traffic nightmare most of the time. So I thought, okay, it's gonna be in Florianópolis, not San Jose. The cities are mostly the same size. But they announced it, and yes, it's gonna be San Jose. So again, announcing a temple in a city that's not named after it. But yeah, they have a 5.5.
Like we would care a whole lot. I wish I could bend the ear of someone in the temple department and be like,
it just feels like
we know the bigger city. Is that what it is?
I know it is, but do the residents think of it as Florianópolis? Because I would think that the residents don't think of it as Florianópolis because it's connected. It's on Florianópolis is a city on another island, off the coast. So, right. And maybe to the people in church headquarters, yeah, it's all Florianópolis. It's all in the same mission. It's all the same area. But if you look on a map zoomed out enough, that's what the city says. But for the residents, it's really San Jose. So I don't know.
And the worst part is that everyone's going to be asking the way to get there and then go, whoa, 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 because they don't know.
You never know.
Not appreciated. Got it. I'll move on.
Yeah, so they have a site that's right north of the San Jose Stake Center. And then what's interesting is that in between the Stake Center and the temple, there'll be an actual steak center.
Now, well done. What do you mean?
A Brazilian steak restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Mel Cantino Churrascaria. I don't know. I don't know how to speak Portuguese. But right in between the temple and the steak center, there's a gigantic billboard that says, hey, great restaurant since 1984.
Yes.
So now if you actually want to go to the actual steak center next to the temple, you can do that in Brazil.
I love every bit of that. Get yourself a meal after a church meeting. You go to the Saturday night session of steak conference, and then you hit the extra session over at the steak center, the one next door, serving great steak since 1984. Okay. I love every bit of that. This might be a great place. Did you have any more on that temple? Maybe that's a good place. We take a break and come back and do the second half, or is there something more about that?
Let's the break.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back in the second half. We've got all the scuttlebutt about, hey, not here, or we'll sue you. Oh, yeah, well, we'll sue you. We'll see you in court. Great. We're gaining great favor with people in Texas. That's coming up in the second half of the Temple Ticker. BestDJinUtah.com is the website. That is where you go if you would like me to come and DJ your event. Now, will I do a family reunion where you all wear the same t-shirts? You bet I will. Will I travel to wherever you're at? Uh-huh. Am I reasonable as far as what I cost? Yes. Do I bring a good time? Yeah, all the things. Listen, Best DJ in Utah, it's my company. It's a thing I do that allows me to be able to have the time to do the cultural hall. So if someone's getting married, you think, man, they need a great DJ. You're throwing a party, whether it's a 50th or 60th or 40th or 20th or whatever the party is. I've done them all and would love to be able to do that. An anniversary party, certainly done those. I did a baptism in 2023. Yeah, we did a big dance party at a baptism. Spoiler, not a Mormon baptism, but it was fun nonetheless. BestDJinUtah.com is a website. I will get back to you within 24 hours with a quote. Come on now. BestDJinUtah.com. Here in the second half of the Temple Ticker, if you love Corey K. Ward, the Pharaoh himself, just like I do, go ahead and you can leave just I love Corey in the reviews on Apple or Spotify. You can say, oh man, but the only reason I listen is for Corey. That'd be fine. You can say that. Wherever you listen to this episode, take a second and leave a review about that. So now we get into this first one. I don't think that it's controversy. I don't think it's any of that kind of stuff. The temple matron and president for the Linden Temple.
Yeah, this is a sign that the temple is getting somewhat close to completion. Maybe the latter half of this year, maybe early next year for the Linden Temple. But obviously they have the president and matron ready. It's
Mhm.
Lynn McCleley Bratt and Elizabeth Ann Prestridge Bratt. And there's an umlaut above the A on the Bratt. So I was thinking like maybe they're, European or something.
Uh-huh.
They're from the Linden 14th Ward. They looks like he was born in American Fork and she was born in Provo. So
So is it
okay,
brat maybe? Is it
Brat, yeah, I
brat?
would say so. I mean, I would want to know like where his parents are from, but it doesn't say
American
that.
fork, you just told me.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that they kept the umlaut over the A because it seems like most immigrants when they gone to the United States, they've gotten rid of that.
Well, they
So
don't
maybe
want to be confused. They don't want to
maybe
be
it's a more
confused
recent immigration.
with the brats of Spanish fork, man. Those brats, actually. I'm trying to see. Oh, okay. So he's a let's see. Oh, I was trying to find out what he did professionally. Do you have any idea on that?
You know better than
Okay,
I
I'll
do if
continue.
you're Googling it.
I'm continuing to look on this. I thought maybe he was a solar guy. Looked like maybe he was
Mm.
something with solar, but then I don't know that that's the same person. Sorry. I like to know that because it's interesting. Who are these people that they get to go and be able to do that? Oh, wait, here we go. Nope, this is just their church references. Okay. Sorry to interrupt everyone. Back to the regularly scheduled temple ticker.
Yeah, we have a few construction updates. Just a quick one in Ephraim, Utah. Um, I guess some construction workers got the opportunity to get a photo op with the oxen for the baptismal font being delivered. They just have them like out on pallets in front of the temple, which is funny because I normally don't see this for most temples, but
Yeah.
I guess,
Uh,
yeah,
Well, and you can tell that they're oxen, but they're highly wrapped up. They're each on individual pallets. That's an interesting way to see these very symbolic, very what I guess sacred, right? To see them out on the pallets individually, and a guy in a construction uniform. Hey, this is
yeah.
me getting a picture
You
by
thought
a
maybe the butcher came and dropped off some
yes,
some meat.
yeah, kind of. It looks like that. Uh, that that's grass fed. I don't know. Okay.
I think it's appropriate for the Ephraim area because I think they have a lot of pride in the temple and the construction.
Oh yeah,
And
huge deal for the Ephraim area. Seriously, huge, huge, huge. Vancouver, Washington is where we go next.
yeah, this is located just north of Portland and Camas, Washington. The city of Camas did an environmental study, and they determined that there'll be no significant impact on the environment. They said there's no known endangered species on the site. They said that the landscaping will help enhance the wildlife habitat of the site, which I kind of doubt that because of the parking lot. But
You don't know what they're
I
gonna
doubt that
do.
I
Maybe
doubt
they're
that the
gonna
forest
plant a.
area is better for the environment than the parking lot. But
Well,
whatever.
maybe they're gonna make a pond. You don't know.
Okay, sure.
Uh,
But yeah, no
anyway.
species endangered in the site. There's been some residents that have expressed some hesitation about the project, but for now, it's going forward.
Lethbridge, Alberta.
Yeah. Seems like in Canada, they like to report about these things happening with this temple. It's an area where there's a lot of Latter-day Saints in the community, so they're trying to reach out to different community members. There was three different pastors for local churches at this meeting where they learned about what the temple was. They saw some renderings of the interior of the temple, which I wish they would have shared with us, but they didn't. Um, so yeah, still no
Okay.
groundbreaking announced.
Okay. So we're getting closer, but not really. Okay.
We'll see. Yeah.
Which takes us then to the controversy of the Fairview, not Fairview, McKinney, not McKinney. What are we doing here? Temple in Texas. Oh, maybe we're not even building a temple.
Yeah. A quick review. The church announced the temple will prosper. Then they said, actually, we're going to put it in Fairview and name it McKinney. And then they said that we'll next to it said, oh, it's in a residential neighborhood, even though it's on a main street next, like across the street from a Sonic and other restaurants. not a residential area. They said it's too tall. It's the tallest building in town, not for our rural area. So it's next to a few churches, including one of our stake centers. So yeah, a lot of big meetings about it. The church went through mediation with the town to try and avoid a lawsuit, and they said, "Yeah, we'll lower it by about 50 feet, and then we'll only have a 30,000 square foot temple instead of 44,000, and one story instead of two." And then it seemed like okay, that was the agreement, and then the church kind of delayed in doing a filing for a permit, and so there's kind of like, okay, what's happening? Now, they said that the settlement isn't questioned. They said that initially it felt like it was sure, but now the mayor is saying that, oh, that was just like initial talks. That was just like the first round, initial compromise, but we would talk more. Well, it seems like the church was like, oh, I thought this was final.
Mm.
Um, and there's still a bunch of pushback for people in the neighborhood that seem like there's not much that can be done to, I don't know if they just don't want any steeple, or I don't know if anything can really satisfy them at this point. So now the church is going back on its claims of religious freedom. They sent a letter to the town saying that their religious freedom rights have been compromised, and that it's possible that if the agreement is not enforced, that they'll be going to a lawsuit.
So the agreement that they agreed to, which would be a little bit smaller, and that. So they're not trying. One reading of the story, I thought, oh, they were like, no, listen, you guys are going to be giving us a hard time. We're going back to 50 feet higher and 10,000 square feet bigger. They're not doing that. They're just trying to go, hey, listen, we struck this deal. We thought, let's go with this and go that way. But no.
And I'm sure there's a lot more than that I haven't read yet, and a lot more happening behind the scenes. It's hard to keep track of all these things. There's just so much he said, she said stuff going on, and I don't know what to think about it right now.
Is it possible on something? I guess anything is possible, but that this would be something that, with religious freedom, could go to the higher courts and then be kind of ruled that way, or doesn't it? It seems to me that, for the most part, this is sort of ruled, and that the church was just like, hey, you know what? We're willing to be willing participants in this community, and we don't want to be super upsetting, but they technically really could do whatever in the name of religious freedom.
Maybe the Deseret News talks about how in Georgia there is a RLUIPA case. So RLUIPA is the law that the church is relying on to say that they can't be burdened by a local. So a religious organization can't be burdened by the zoning of a locality, because it would infringe on the First Amendment. And there might be a lawsuit going to the courts out of Georgia that said that the law was violated when a plot of land owned by the United Methodist Church wanted. Sorry, I'm not. I'm not quite understanding what it's saying, but it seems like there is, anyways. There is a possibility that the law could go before the Supreme Court, and then they could decide like some of the merits, and maybe the church would then get kind of an in there, and then kind of get their case taken up as well.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing, because as much as I want, a temple to be able to be built, the blessings, I believe in all that stuff, you do want the church and other churches and other buildings and zoning things to have to be like a good neighbor, as opposed to, we're a church, we'll do what we want, and then we have this thing in our neighborhood that doesn't fit, doesn't feel right, is overpowering, is whatever the thing may be. So hopefully,
Okay, yeah. What happened to Georgia is that the church wanted to help people that were experiencing homelessness on their own land, and the city kind of said that, oh, well, this is causing criminal mischief in the area, and so they kind of wanted to stop the church from helping the homeless people. And so the church is saying, hey, that's our religious right to practice our religion on our own land. So the church is kind of saying, well, if they can feed the homeless on their own land, then we can build a steeple on our own land as well. So
it's an interesting case. So we'll continue to see that roll out, I'm sure. And years from now, still be talking about it. And speaking about talking about something years from now, the Heber City Temple back in the temple ticker news.
Yeah, it seems like the petitioners of the lawsuit against the temple construction may want to call it quits, because it's probably taking a long time, spending a lot of money. They said they want to go file for summary judgment, which I guess means that they won't have a trial. They'll just agree on some facts, and then the judge will just release up an opinion without having to do a trial,
Hmm.
Which I would assume would be in favor of the church. So, I mean, it seemed like forever ago that President Nelson personally went to this temple to have a groundbreaking before they had even received any of the permits. Um, and it's still not under construction. After all those protests and everything, we've been waiting. Even though, like in Cody, Wyoming, where a lawsuit still is pending, they just decided to go ahead and continue construction. Whereas, I guess in Heber Valley, they have held off.
I wonder if they took it for granted. You know, the church within Utah kind of thinks, yeah, Utah, I mean, we'll get this through. Where they maybe not, it's maybe hubris, maybe a little bit of something like that, where they go, yeah, we're sort of in the majority here. But because the dark sky or something else about the Heber Valley, the liberalism that they're getting pushed back a little bit. I don't know. That's interesting to me that in one place, like you say, Cody, it's like, man, no, we're going ahead. And then another place, they're like, boy, don't touch it. Let's not do this.
Yeah, I would say, so yeah, they had a groundbreaking in 2022. So we're going on, what, 2.5 years since then. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. All right. Well, you'll be back on a couple times before a general conference, I'm sure, as we talk about more temple. This one a little bit shorter, but I want to make sure that we get the most up-to-date information about the temples of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We call him the Pharaoh because that's what his mom called him because he was so bossy. His name's Corey K. Ward. You can always send us an email, contact@theculturalhall.com. If there's something that you know about, a place that you're predicting something that will be, or, hey, what about this for this area? Do you think we'll ever get anything? Would love to get those from you at any time. Contact@theculturalhall.com. I will forward those along to Corey. There's how many? So we're thinking probably what, between like 13 and 17 for the upcoming general conference. If you had to give me a percentage, how many of those are on the continent of Africa?
It's a good question. Sometimes we see none. Sometimes we see a lot. You know, it's a 1 or 2, I think, is the safe bet for that.
Okay, I'm saying 50. I'm saying 50%. I think it's going to be a 50% continent of Africa temple announcement. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling very temple predicty this morning.
Yeah, they just organized the first stake in the country of Tanzania, which is the country south of Kenya.
Yeah.
We saw that new stakes were organized a few years ago in Angola for the first time, and a temple was announced there. So the church normally has kind of waited to see the church mature in these African countries before they announce a temple.
Mm-hmm.
But in Angola, they just went right ahead. In Mozambique, they went right ahead. So we'll see maybe what happens in Tanzania.
Sounds to me like you just predicted Tanzania, and I'll back you up. Tanzania.
Also thinking Zambia, which the stake is actually a bit older. There's only one stake in the country, but it's it has a few decades on it, so that's a possibility as well.
Yeah, let's give them all one. And with them taking a little bit of time, couple years, we build up the church in the time. Anticipation. Let's go. Let's go, Africa. Come on. All right. Again, contact@theculturalhall.com is the email address. I appreciate you taking the time. He does it. You can find all the links to all the pictures and all the things in the show notes. So be sure that you check that out. Corey K. Ward. I hope that this episode has nourished and strengthened your body.
Hope that if you're able to listen this week, you'll be able to listen next week.
And that when the time comes, you will be able to travel home in safety. In the meantime, Chris at Alpine Lakes Travel, Debbie Wanless, Chocolate Cake Bites Podcast, and the Tiger, with a U, will be saving a seat for you
on the back row
of the
Cultural Hall.
Save me a seat, it's sure to be neat on the back row. We really gotta go on the Cultural Hall show.